Dance Revolution!
Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening. Today, we're going to do my first review / mini retrospective on the channel. It's something I wanted to do for a lot of games, but I'm still very new at making videos, so I'll do the best I can using the tools I know how to use. What game are we going to review today? Well, if you look at the title, you'll see. We are talking about Dance Dance Revolution, also known as Dance Dance Revolution USA for the PlayStation 1. Or as I like to call it, DDR1. Because it was the first real DDR game we got in the West that wasn't in an arcade, Chuck E. Cheese, or bowling alley. So to begin with, for viewers who aren't familiar with what DDR is, here's the deal. Dance Dance Revolution, or DDR for short, is a music video game series produced by Konami, made in Japan in 1998 as part of the Bimani series, and released in North America and European arcades in 1999. The home console releases were released in Japan in 1999 and in America in 2000. Dance Dance Revolution is a series part of the rhythm and dance genre in games. Players stand on a dance platform or stage and hit colored arrows laid out in the up, down, left, and right orientations with their feet to musical and visual cues. Players are judged by how well they time their dance to the patterns presented to them and are allowed to choose more music to play if they receive a passing score. All that to say, you stomp on the ground when the colored arrows line up with the correct arrows on the screen to the music. Simple enough, right? Yeah, it's pretty simple. And fun too. And guess what else? It made good exercise. Play for 10 minutes on the medium difficulty setting, and you'd be sweating like you wouldn't believe. In fact, aside from arcades, where you go to play for fun, that's where you find the majority of what DDR players are playing for. We all yearn to get healthy, fit, and strong, but know it takes a lot of commitment to do that. That's why exercise video games, and even more so, exercise rhythm games, are still popular to this day. Heck, even my Dance Dance Revolution soft pad isn't all that sturdy from all the use I've been giving it thanks to all the exercise I've been wanting nowadays. Fun fact, specifically in Europe where it was sold, they didn't want to call it Dance Dance Revolution because they felt it was too long of a name to use. So they just called it Dancing Stage, and they kept that name to this day. So with that preamble out of the way, and we're all caught up to what DDR is and how it works, where, when it came from, let's finally talk about the game itself.
Pretty good song! Are you ready?
You'll start the game, and if you didn't already know, and let the game idle for a few seconds on screen, a short demo will begin explaining how to play. If you allow it to continue idling, then it will play an actual demo of the game being played. Once you press start, you'll be greeted by a menu with 7 tabs to select from, and 4 of them being actual game modes. You have the main game mode first on the screen. Select it, and you will be greeted by all the songs in the game. They would actually stop doing this in later games, rather instead having you unlock the songs, or, in the Japanese PS1's case, buy new songs on different discs. Then you have workout mode, which even at the time, they understood that working out was a big appeal for playing the game. I believe that was also a very popular trend in Japan at the time, where home workouts and exercise tools became big and more commonplace. Which, hey, I of all people get it. You want to have fun at home. Workout mode is mostly the same, except they roughly track your burned calories per step you do, and give you that as a tally at the end of a song, rather than a score. You can put in your weight and keep track of your progress as you dance. Afterwards, you have lesson mode, an expanded version of the how to play demo from the opening of the game. It will teach you about the various mechanics of the game. You will boot it once, go through it, and never need to ever again. Personally, I would have put this in a subsection of the training mode, but that's just me. Speaking of which, finally, we have training mode. Here you can actually practice songs without fear of failing and work towards getting a higher score. This I can understand being its own thing because what else are you going to do in DDR besides dance and work out? You're obviously going to want to get better at the game and not only get a full combo meaning completing a song without missing a note or getting a note worse than great, as a good will not count towards the combo, but trying for a perfect score as your end goal. Below that are your records, options, and credits, all being self-explanatory. The records option, however, holds your music records, best scores, and your workout records. Once you select Game Mode from the main menu, you'll be greeted by 4 options. If you press the circle button instead of pressing the cross button, you have Single, Unison, Versus, or Double. Single is simple. It will likely be the main option you select because it's the only one that requires one dance pad, let alone dance space for 2 people. You play by yourself. Unison is interesting in that it's actually the co-op mode of the game. 2 players use different pads, but are functionally, at least I believe so, I've never actually seen the game being played this way, controlling one character. Player 1 is the blue arrow getter, and player 2 is the red arrow getter. There are also yellow arrows that both players have to step on. I don't think any version of later DDRs I've seen came with this mode. It's actually kind of neat that it's unique to the PS1 era, but I can imagine the confusion of it making it trying to work. Next is Versus. Fairly simple. 2 pads, 2 players, 2 separate scores. Winner has a higher score. Lastly, there's Double Mode, where 1 player is on 2 pads. I would be interested in seeing more of this option because it acts as the harder mode that's separate from 3 difficulties from the song selection menu or the options menu. But I've never seen it played on a home console. It's not very common to see it out in random arcades unless you have pros that visit your locals. However, just know that watching someone who knows what they're doing play doubles is a treat and a half. After that, you can select your character in game mode. A fun secret is that if you press up on the selection, you will get access to 4 more characters. I can't say I know how to access the female characters from the main menu mode, or if that option exists, or how to select the female extra characters from workout mode. But you can go into options, then shortcut, and then turn that on. From there, you select the character and mode you want from here, and you can just boot into your favorite settings without too much effort. It's funny how the guys of Bimani took the time to make little details like this, but didn't want to add a normal character selection screen for some odd reason. I would like to have access to the boys and girls from all the modes at the start screen. This will be a reoccurring issue if and when I continue making more videos about DDR. There are just many odd decisions made when it comes to giving you the game you want without having to do the extra hassle of knowing a secret or taking several hours to earn the right to it. Even in the arcade, they have secret codes that you just have to know if you want to access more modes and hidden songs. It's quite strange, honestly. On the home console, specifically, the option to go back a menu is disabled on a lot of the time, except in parts of workout mode and the options menu. If you make a mistake somewhere and want to go back, you have to press the start and select buttons at the same time to boot all the way back to the main menu, and then do it again, and hopefully not mess up this time. Moving along from my gripes, then you have 3 modes you can select. You have beginner mode, which, along with the song difficulty being a bit lower, as I understand, I could be mistaken, you will have your chosen character on a metal dance pad in-game, demonstrating the moves you have to do as they come up, along with a little circle to indicate which one. A training wheels mode, you can say. I wish there was an option to have this on sometimes, just to have the ability to vary up the kind of background you get in-game. After that, you have normal mode. The default number of songs you play per single selection being 3 songs, but you can have it all the way up to 5 songs. Normal mode is very straightforward and the default way the game is played. You select it, pick a song to play, and watch the character you pick dance while a trance or static background is behind them as you play the song. You do this a set number of times, picking a new song and finishing, and then the game gives you a score and kicks you out to the main menu. However, if you fail a song at any point, your run is finished and you're kicked out early. This is to mimic the arcade experience of playing well to get more value for the money you spent per go. Lastly, you have non-stop mode. The name not being quite what it would imply for what you do. Non-stop mode is non-stop in the sense that you pick a mix that the game offers you, and then you play that particular mix until you win or lose. No stopping to pick a song. Once one song finishes, another one starts. Each song being about 2 minutes long, and all the mixes are 4 songs each, so you would be playing a max of 8 to 10 minutes per mix. What's noteworthy about this mode is each mix has its own ranking to beat in the best ranking records. I want to note that if you want a true non-stop mode, where you start from one song and keep going until the end, and then some, you would have to go to workout mode, select playtime on the menu, and then set your desired goal for at least 45 minutes. Then go to Program 2 on Mode selection, and then click your desired starting point for your song. I say set your playtime option for 45 minutes because that's how long the game is roughly by pure uninterrupted song count. yes, this game is actually only 45 minutes long by content standards. That's 27 songs. Now, granted, that feels kind of stingy nowadays, and I don't really disagree. But you have to understand that in the 90s, I don't think they thought this would blow up as huge as it did, and as well as the PS1 discs only had a certain amount of space on them. So think about that as well. It would have actually costed more money to have additional discs when they could just have customers buy more songs from them on a new disc. I was originally going to detail how that 27 songs was actually kind of a lot compared to what we got. In Japan, the arcade releases only came with 11 songs. But now I'm personally not sure how many additional songs were added from the home release in Japan, if any at all. For us in the West, however, we went from 11 to 27 songs. This is in part thanks to us getting it way late in the PS1 consoles. This is because, in the meantime, from 1998 to 2001, Konami had put out 5 additional packs for Dance Dance Revolution in Japan, that being DDR Second Mix, DDR Second Mix Append Club Mix Volume 1, aka Dance Dance Revolution Second Mix and Beatmania IDX Substring Club, DDX Second Append Club Mix Volume 2, or Dance Dance Revolution Second Mix and Beatmania IDX Substring Club Version 2, and then we have Dance Dance Revolution Third Mix, and then finally Dance Dance Revolution Third Mix Plus. It was finally at the third mix that Konami felt confident about releasing the game internationally in places like South Korea, Europe as Dancing Stage, and America. Side note, but in Korea they actually got their own 2 separate versions for the international release. 2 versions not only being a month apart, but having more additional songs. This is because one version had a bug in the shuffle feature, but since they already set it out, they sent a new version out with new songs to justify people having to buy or replace their copy. Version 2 being the superior version as it had 81 songs. Reminder, we only got 27 songs in America. That's exactly triple the amount we got. 81 is divisible by 27. As well in Japan, after the business with Third Mix in Korea, they made a new Third Mix called Third Mix Plus, that on top of the 72 songs that were included in Third Mix, they added a additional 71 new songs, 5 of them being K-pop from the Korean version. So yeah. Anyhow, it was at the third mix that they had decided to bring DDR over to the West, first via arcades with 26 songs, in Europe they got 28, and then on home consoles in 2000 with an additional song. So yes, that is the extended background lore of Dance Dance Revolution USA. There's certainly a lot more to talk about between Dance Dance Revolution 1 arcades in Japan to Dance Dance Revolution USA on PS1s, but I'll spare you and just say they made more songs and then added internet sometimes. Now, I spent a bit talking about the song list and how who got how many songs was so important. Now I have to ask, how good is the song selection we got in the West? It's pretty good. My favorites would have to be Brilliant to You, which is a continuous DDR all-timer, and Drop the Bomb. I have a hard time personally saying much about the songs on offer, but they all feel mostly like a DDR song selection to me, with the exception of one, Afro Nova. It is not only a song I dislike to play, but a song I dislike to look at. It just stresses me out from start to finish in every way I'm forced to engage with it, musically, dancing, and visually. So with all that being said, how do I like DDR USA for the PS1 in total? I think it still holds up, honestly. For context, I played this game on a controller, a soft pad, and on an L-Tech Metal Dance pad on a PS2 Fat. It's still a good game for enthusiasts to give a shot if they have the means to set it up. Specifically, using an L-Tech Metal Dance pad, you're going to need a PS2 converter for it from the website, and it's not cheap to buy, so I hope you have the means to buy it. But once you get it, then you're all set to have at it. The game itself runs mostly fine. If you switch your TV to game mode, it cuts down a lot of the input lag that feels baked into the game. You'll still feel about 0.04 seconds of input delay, which is, to normal people, that might sound a bit silly. It's less than half a second delay after all, and it's not noticeable in most cases. But on a dancing game where your timing has to be perfect, you really start to feel it, and have to compensate on your end for the delay, and not move quite in key with the song. Thankfully, however, they got better with this as hardware improved, and as time went on, it's not the worst thing in the world that happens to DDR. I say this as not an expert, however. I'm not a casual DDR enjoyer, but I'm definitely not a professional DDR enjoyer. I'm somewhere in between. So, if I were to use the generic review score rating from 1 to 10, I'd feel comfortable at a 7. I use the generic review score here for a quick way to illustrate my thoughts without having to go terribly in depth. Still, without using a generic scoring system, I would say I'm fairly happy with what's on offer. I think if I hadn't gotten this as a child in 2001, I would have loved it. I played as much DDR at the arcades and at Chuck E. Cheese as I was able to when I was a kid. Sure, it had amazing presentation, and the thrill of using my limited time and money in a special place for kids gave it a huge buff. But the act of dancing itself for a high score is just a fun as heck concept I would recommend for everyone. I think, however, as a teenager, and if I had a PS1 at the time, and was gifted this or bought it on my own, I might be a bit disappointed with the selection on offer for $60, which is what the game costs. As a bundle, the game itself was $30, which makes more sense as a price, but the dance pad was $50 alone. Bundled together is where you would get the $60 price tag. According to an IGN article I found of the time, that is what they offered it at. In 2024 money, that's $108, counting for inflation. $108 for a 45-minute experience with hopes of more on the way sounds about right for 2024 gaming. With all that said, all in all, I still have fun with it to this day, and I think that earns it my stamp of approval. Hello everyone, I want to thank you all for watching. It's not really easy for me to do this for the first time, but I'm doing my best, so if you like what you see, be sure to let me know. Thank you, and have a good day.